Hello everyone, welcome to the YouTube channel of Victory IS. In this session, we shall be talking about the interior of the earth. The topic that we are going to take up today is interior of the earth. Under this topic, broadly we shall be covering three things. One, that why do we need to study about the interior of the earth? See, geography says that it is the study of the earth's surface. So, why are we trying to understand about the interior of the earth? That is the first question that we are going to ask. Then, second thing, which is most important for the prelims examination, the about the interior and about the interior of the earth, we study in the form of the layers of earth's interior. So, we shall be talking about different layers that are present in the earth's interior. And then, third thing, we shall be talking about the sources, the different sources that provide us information about the interior of the earth. So, this is a topic mostly being asked in the mains examination, that what are the different sources, how do we get to know about the interior of the earth. And this is the topic which is frequently being asked in prelims examination. And obviously, this one is just for the understanding purpose that why we are studying the interior of the earth. So let's begin. So first thing first, that why are we studying about interior of the earth? So if you know about the forefathers of geography, the one important forefather of geography, the Greek philosopher Eratosthenes, is a Greek philosopher. He says that he's a basically Greek geographer, and he says that geography is the study of Earth's surface. Geography is the study of Earth's surface as the home of mankind. So, when the forefathers are saying that it is the study of the Earth's surface, then why are we interested into the interior? Why we want to get into the interior of the Earth? So, the answer to this question lies in the subsequent lectures, wherein we are going to study about the endogenetic forces. Endogenetic forces, or call it endogenetic processes. So we know that on the earth's surface there are different physical features present. Physical features as in the mountains, plateaus, plains. All these are the physical features present on the earth's surface, and they are directly and indirectly being formed by the endogenetic forces. Endogenetic means, endo means in the interior. So whatever forces that are generating in the interior of the earth, that are coming out from the interior of the earth, we refer them as endogenetic forces. So these endogenetic forces, you must have heard of convective currents, you must have heard of plate tectonics theory. So all these theories, all these explanations provide us information from the interior of the earth. So for that reason, you need to know about the interior of the earth, because these forces will originate from the interior and will form a number of shapes on the earth's surface. So in order to understand the features on the earth's surface, we are interested into the interior of the earth. So, we shall be studying briefly about the interior of the earth so that we can provide the explanation to what has been formed on the earth's surface. So, for this reason, we are trying to study about the interior of the earth. Okay. Now, coming to the core area, the different layers of earth. So, broadly, if I draw, this is our earth surface, this is our earth, this entire is our earth, and we're trying to understand about the interior, what is happening in the interior of the earth, what are the different properties of these layers that are present. So, we'll see that this entire earth can be divided broadly into three layers. So, the outermost layer, this one, is known as crust. This is the outermost layer. Then beneath crust, we have another layer, this one. The second layer is called mantle, and obviously, this innermost layer that we refer to as core. So, this is the third layer. So, broadly, we have divided the Earth's interior into three layers. Broadly, these are the layers of the Earth. We'll talk about each and every layer individually, and we'll also see that these layers have been further divided. We'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about the important properties of these layers. What are the different kinds of features that they reflect? Okay, so you should know that for now, for facts in the prelims examination, crust, as I said, is the outermost layer, and it covers nearly volume of 4-5% of the total earth. So, of the total volume of the earth, in the layer crust, the volume is 4-5%. And of the total mass of the earth, the crust holds nearly 2 to 3%. So, whatever is the total mass of the earth, the crust has nearly 2 to 3%. Then coming to the mantle part, if you look at mantle, mantle is the largest layer in terms of volume. So, volume it holds is nearly 70%. Nearly 70%. Volume it is holding is nearly 70 to 75%. And mass that it holds is nearly 65%. This volume in certain books you might find up to 75 to 80% also, that is also all right. The data that I am giving you, that is based on IU, International Union for Geodesy and Geophysics, IUGG. So, this is the international body that provides data about the interior of the earth. Okay, and then coming to the core, core holds a volume is relatively smaller of core, nearly 16%, and the mass that it holds is of nearly 30%. So, mass is more compared to the volume when we talk about core. These are the facts that could be directly in the prelims examination in the statement forms. Then coming to each and every layer and their properties associated. So, now first thing that will start, the properties of these layers with respect to the depth. What is the thickness of these layers? What is the depth of these layers? Up to what depth these layers have been seen? So let's say again this is our earth, and from this earth let me take out, from the center let me take out a segment out of it. So if I take out a segment from the earth's interior, let's say this is the segment that we have taken out. We know that earth's interior has a radius of, this radius is of nearly 6400 kilometers. So radius of the earth is nearly 6400 kilometers. So if I start from the surface, consider this as the surface, you know that first layer would be crust. First layer is crust, and let me take this as 0. I'm starting the depth from the surface, and crust is present up to 100 to 120 kilometers, or broadly you can also write 80 to 120 kilometers. So when I say 100 to 120 kilometers or 80 to 120 kilometers as the depth of the crust, it does not mean that at every point of the crust this would be the depth. No, this is the average depth. So this depth might vary from place to place. That depth might go up to 200 kilometer at places, and at certain places it might go up to say 20 kilometer, 30 kilometer. So that depth is highly variable, but on an average you can say that it is up to 80 to 120 kilometers, right? So this is the depth of the crust. Then second layer I told you is of mantle. I'll divide mantle into further two layers, further two parts. So upper part of mantle is called upper mantle, and lower part of the mantle is called lower mantle. So upper mantle is extended broadly up to 700 kilometers. So from the surface it is up to 700 kilometers. So what is the thickness? From 100 kilometer broadly to 700 kilometer. And then lower mantle is extended up to 2900 kilometers. So this is the thickness of the mantle, which I have divided into two parts, upper mantle and lower mantle. We'll come to the properties of these layers as well, don't worry, other properties. And then again I'm dividing the core into two parts, inner core and outer core. I'm dividing the core into two parts. So this inner core, not this one, this outer core, I'm sorry, this is outer core present in the outer side, and this one is inner core. So this outer core is extended up to nearly 5500 kilometers. And then I told you that this radius is about 6400 kilometers. So from nearly 5500 kilometers to 6400 kilometers will find the inner core. Okay, so this is the information about the depth or the thickness of the different layers. So I have divided mantle into two parts, upper and lower. I have given you the thickness, and then I have further divided the core into two parts, outer core and inner core. Yes, then let's see the property of these layers with respect to density. So density of these layers. So in general you should know that density increases with increasing depth. So as the you are moving into the interior of the earth, the density of the materials present in the interior, that will increase. The density will increase. So this is the fact that you should know, that in general, as we move into the interior of the earth, the density will increase. And if you want to understand why it is happening, you know the formula that density equals to mass upon volume. This we have already read in the school days. And density is directly proportional to mass, this shows, and inversely proportional to volume. So you know that as you move in the interior of the earth, you are moving into the interior of the earth, you know that overlying mass, let's say you are at this point, point P. So this is the mass which is overlying at this point, and as you move further, let's say P1, this would be the mass that would be overlying. So mass is increasing. Since mass is increasing, therefore density will increase. Also, if you look at the volume, at this point, the volume remaining is this much. Over here, the volume was this much. So volume is also decreasing as you are moving into the interior. So volume is decreasing as we are moving into interior. Mass is increasing. So if volume decreases, density will increase, because there is an inverse relation. So that is why we can say that density increases with depth, and that is what we have written in the beginning also. Now let's see certain facts, because questions have been asked related to facts as well. This is the conceptual understanding, that with increasing depth, the density will increase. Why it is happening? Because mass is increasing and volume is decreasing. And volume has the inverse relation with density, mass has direct relation with density. So accordingly, overall density will increase. Yes. Now let's see in the layers what is happening in the layers. Again, we'll take the same segment that we had taken in the previous properties. So this one is crust, the outermost layer crust. Crust has a density of nearly 3 gram per centimeter cube. So on an average, crust will have a density of 3 gram per centimeter cube. You know that density is represented in gram per centimeter cube or kilogram per meter cube, depending upon the kind of units we are using. So crust has a density of 3 gram per centimeter cube. But you should also know that crust is further divided on the basis of density into upper crust and lower crust. So upper crust has a density of 2.5 gram per centimeter cube, and lower crust has a density of 3.5 gram per centimeter cube. So based on the density, there is further division in the crust as well. Okay. Then coming to mantle part, as I told you, in mantle we'll talk about upper mantle, we'll talk about lower mantle. The density of this upper mantle, if I say, it is around 4 gram per centimeter cube, and this lower mantle has a density of nearly 5.5 gram per centimeter cube. So overall I can say that entire mantle has a density of nearly 4 gram per centimeter cube. 4 to 4.5 gram per centimeter cube is the density of the entire mantle, right? And if you want to remember them separately, this would be the change. And if you look at this, the density is increasing as you are moving into the interior of the earth. That is what we said in the beginning also. And then coming to outer core, outer core, outer core has a density of nearly 8 gram per centimeter cube, and this inner core has a density of nearly 12 gram per centimeter cube. 10 to 12 gram per centimeter cube. So overall, this will have a density of around 9 to 10 gram per centimeter cube. So this is broadly the division of the layers of the earth on the basis of the density. Okay, so this was the second property with respect to density. Third, let's talk about the composition of these layers. What are the different constituents of these layers? We'll talk about the primary constituents. Primary means they are present in abundance. They are not the only materials which are present, but they are in abundance, they are in large quantity. Again, take that same crust, broadly mantle, and then core. So, in crust, crust is broadly made up of Sial. Sial stands for silica and aluminium. Sial stands for silica and aluminium. So I'm not saying other materials will not be present, but they are the primary materials present in the crust, the outermost layer. Then crust is further divided. If you see on the crust of the earth, if I draw this earth, on the surface you'll find that there are places which have land masses, then again land masses. In between there is water body which we call as ocean, right? So these are oceans. So oceans, the crust present below the ocean is called oceanic crust, and the crust present below the land masses is called continental crust. So this one is continental crust, and this one is again continental because I'm taking below the landmass, but this one, if you look at this, this is oceanic crust. So crust below the ocean is called oceanic crust, and crust below the continents or the land masses is called continental crust. So this crust is further divided. I mean, then one is continental crust and one is oceanic crust. And oceanic crust is made up of Sima, and continental is made up of Sial. Okay, so the Sial that I told you, that is the constituent of the continental crust. So if I move to this oceanic crust, they are primarily made up of Sima. Sima means silica and magnesium. Silica and magnesium. Okay, so now coming to this layer, which is mantle. Mantle is made up of Sima. Mantle is made up of Sima. And this core part is made up of nickel and ferrous. Nife. Nickel and ferrous. Again, I am saying these are the primary materials, these are the primary elements that are found in these layers. They are not the only materials. There would be a number of other materials, but they are the primary ones that will constitute those respective layers. Okay, so This is about the composition of the different layers. Now, let's talk about other property. After composition, let's talk about the state of matter. State of matter means whether they are in solid state or in liquid state or in semi solid state. This semi solid is also called plastic state. This semi solid is also called plastic state. So, we are trying to see that what are the state of these different layers. Again, we'll take the segment of the out of the earth. This entire crust, this entire crust is in solid. So, be it upper crust or lower crust, or be it continental crust or the oceanic crust, they are in the solid state. So, entire crust is in solid state. Okay. Then this one, if you remember, upper mantle, upper mantle is in broadly semi solid state. I'll tell you the reason why these states are changing, why there are different forms of the matter. Okay, we'll come to that, but for now, just remember that upper mantle is broadly in semi solid state. Broadly word is important. Then coming to lower mantle is again in solid state. And then coming to outer core is in liquid state. This state is also called, in certain books you'll find that it is in plasma state. Plasma state means they are in ionic forms. The ions of nickel and ferrous are found in this layer. So they are in either liquid, call it liquid state, or plasma state, or ionic state. Ionic state. And then the inner core is in again solid state. So this is one factual information that you should know. Questions have been already asked from this area, that which layer is in which state. There could be a question in match the following statement based anything. But before that, this is one important piece of information that you should have. Other than this, you should also know why there is a change in the state. Like density was changing, we gave you the explanation that mass is increasing, volume is decreasing. That is why density was increasing with the depth. What is happening over here, that the state of matter is changing, right? So let's come to that, why this change is there. What is the reason behind this? So it depends on two factors, two things. See, any material would be in solid or liquid state, it depends on its melting point. And melting point depends on two factors. So, melting point, if it easily melts, so means melting point is lesser. If it does not melt easily, it means that melting point is high. And melting point of materials depends on two things. One is temperature and one is pressure. So as you increase the temperature, accordingly there would be melting of the material. Once the temperature reaches up to the melting point, the material will start melting, right? That is what happens, that once you start giving some energy and temperature reaches up to melting point, the material starts melting. That is what is the role of temperature in case of keeping it solid or liquid. Let's say this is some material. If I start heating it, and let's say melting point of this material is 300 degrees Celsius or 200 degrees Celsius. Once the temperature reaches up to 200 degrees Celsius, it will start melting. So that is the role of the temperature. What is the role of pressure? You should know that as we increase the pressure, let's say if I grab this, if I hold this strongly, the melting point of this material will increase. So what I am saying, with the increase in the pressure, melting point increases. Melting point increases matlab it tries to remain solid. It is not easy to melt, right? Melting point being higher means what? It is not ready to melt at lower temperature. So with the increase in the pressure, melting point becomes higher, means that you have to give more temperature. Yes. So you should know that when we are in the layer of crust, the pressure is high, pressure is dominating. You know, the pressure is dominating because overlying rocks are there, they are putting pressure on the underlying rocks. So in over here, pressure is more dominating compared to the temperature. But as you reach in the upper mantle, see, as you are moving in the interior of the earth, I told you that density increases. Density increases means pressure increases. Pressure, why pressure will increase? Because overlying rocks are there. They will put pressure on the underlying rocks, right? So, pressure is increasing. Let me write that. Pressure is increasing with increasing depth, and temperature is also increasing with increasing depth. Temperature is also increasing with increasing depth. So, if I give you certain facts that for every 30 to 32 meter of depth, temperature increases by 1 degree Celsius. This is the fact that you should know. You should remember this, that for every 30 to 30 meter depth in the interior, there would be an increase of 1 degree Celsius in the temperature. So, as you are moving into the interior, the temperature is increasing. So, temperature and pressure both are increasing. So, now it will depend which one is increasing more. If pressure is increasing more, it means that pressure is dominating compared to temperature. So, in this case, in the upper mantle stage, the temperature increase is there, pressure increase is there, but increase in the temperature is more. So, temperature got increased more because of over here some radioactivity is occurring. Radioactivity, the process in which the radiations are released, energy is released. So, if you release the energy, temperature will increase in the surrounding areas. So, because of radioactivity, temperature increases more in the upper mantle, and that is why it tries to become semi solid or plastic. So, I hope that you got the reason why upper mantle is in semi solid state or in plastic state, because the temperature increase is more compared to the pressure increase. I am not saying pressure is not increasing, I am saying that temperature increase is more compared to the pressure increase. Okay, then again, when I reach to lower mantle, pressure becomes more high. Q, why it is happening? Because more overlying rocks are present over the lower mantle, right? So that is why it remains in solid state. And once we enter into this part, the outer core, the temperature increase is significantly high compared to the pressure increase, and that is why it not only transforms to semi solid, but it becomes liquid state, it becomes ionic state or plasma state. So over here the temperature factor is more dominating compared to the pressure factor. So that is again what is the reason? The temperature is increasing because of the increasing density and also because of the radioactivity here as well. Okay, so for this reason, this outer core is in liquid state. So it is primarily the radioactivity phenomena occurring in the interior of the earth which is responsible for semi solid state of upper mantle and liquid state or plasma state of outer core. Okay, so I hope that this reasoning is clear to you guys. Okay, and one thing I'll tell you that this liquid state or the ionic state of the outer core which is also responsible for magnetism of the earth. Earth shows magnetic behavior. That magnetic behavior of the earth is attributed to this ionic state or the plasma state or the liquid state of the outer core. So once we'll talk about the earth's magnetism, then we'll talk about this in detail. Okay, now let's move to the another important property. Till now we have seen the properties related to depth, then density, then we talked about composition, thereafter we talked about state of matter. Now coming to fifth property of these layers, which is called the different spheres of the earth. Different spheres of the earth's interior. You must have heard the terms like lithosphere, asthenosphere, and many other terms, but these two are given in NCERT. You should not forget at least these two. We'll talk about other spheres as well. So let's see that what are those spheres. And as I said that, from this topic a number of questions have been asked. This topic itself has been asked. What is lithosphere, what is asthenosphere, given in these statements. So let's see that. So again, taking that segment of the earth, you should know that this sphere of the earth's interior is based on the state of matter. So state of matter we have already seen. So this outer layer of the earth, which is called crust, the outer layer we refer them as crust. We have already seen that. This is in solid state, I already told you. That is in solid state. And this solid state, then I told you that this layer, the upper mantle, I told you that it is in semi solid state. So don't you think that certain this upper part of the upper mantle, might be in solid state as well at certain places? See, the entire upper mantle is not in semi solid state. Broadly it is in semi solid state. Matlab at most of the places it is in solid state. So this upper part of the upper mantle and the entire crust is called lithosphere. So lithosphere is what? Lithosphere is the solid state of the layer, solid layer of the earth. I'm sorry. The lithosphere is the solid layer of the earth comprising of what? Crust, entire crust, and the upper part of upper mantle. So entire crust is in solid state, upper part of upper mantle is in solid state, and that portion, this entire portion, is called lithosphere. Is called lithosphere. What is lithosphere? Lithosphere is the solid layer of the earth comprising of entire crust as well as the upper part of the upper mantle. And then below this is the semi molten state of the upper mantle, and this is called asthenosphere. So asthenosphere is the semi solid layer of the earth's interior present in the upper mantle. Is it making sense? So these two definitions are very important. Then after this, we know that this is lower mantle, and then up to here lower mantle, then it is outer core, then it is inner core. This entire portion is called central sphere, and this lower mantle is called, in terms of sphere, it is called mesosphere. So just remember these two, lithosphere and asthenosphere. These two are the important ones for us for the examination. Okay, now moving to another very important feature, another very important topic called discontinuities. Discontinuity is present in the Earth's interior. There are certain discontinuities. So let's see what are the discontinuities and what are the names of those discontinuities. Again, there could be a question in the match the following or statement based from this area also. So let's take the same segment of the earth. As I told you that I had divided crust into two parts. Yes, this one is upper crust, this one is lower crust, and this entire is crust. I had divided this based on the density. So this discontinuity between the upper crust and the lower crust, why this discontinuity has been seen? Because there is a change in the density. If you remember, I told you that upper crust has a density of nearly 2.5 gram per centimeter cube, and this lower crust has a density of 3 to 3.5 gram per centimeter cube. So there is a variation in the density. So layer from where this variation starts, that is the layer of discontinuity, and this discontinuity is named as Conorad discontinuity. CONORAD, Conorad discontinuity. Conorad discontinuity. Then, as I told you, after this lower crust or the crust, mantle will start, and we had again divided the mantle into two parts, upper mantle and then lower mantle. You know that this upper mantle is broadly in semi solid state. Semi solid state. Let's say a person is moving from lower crust to the upper mantle. Don't you think at this layer, across this layer, there would be variation in the density? There would be variation in the state of the matter, because this layer is solid, this layer is semi solid. So that layer of variation, where the variation begins, that is the place of discontinuity. So this discontinuity is known as this one, Mohovicic discontinuity. Also it is called Moho's discontinuity. So if you find Moho's or Mohovicic discontinuity, it is the same discontinuity where between crust and mantle, or between lower crust and upper mantle, or between lower crust and mantle, could be written anything. Yes, you should know that the location is between lower crust to upper mantle. It could be written in different forms. It could be written as between crust and mantle, entire mantle, between lower crust and upper mantle, between lower crust and entire mantle. This is the location that they are talking about. So till the time they are talking about this location, the discontinuity they are referring to is Mohovicic or Moho's discontinuity. Then from upper layer semi solid, then again solid, it means again there is a variation, there is a sense of discontinuity. This layer should also have some name, this discontinuity should have some name, and this discontinuity is named as Repeti. Repeti discontinuity. These are the names of the geographers who have discovered these things. They have contributed in the study of interiors of the earth. No? Then, if you remember, this part is outer core. Outer core, if you remember, was in liquid state or plasma or ionic state. So, again, don't you think there would be discontinuity? If you are moving from lower mantle to outer core, there is solid, suddenly you find liquid state. This layer of discontinuity will have some name, and this name is Gutenberg. Gutenberg discontinuity. And then the last discontinuity between outer core and inner core. Inner core, if you remember, was in solid state, and this discontinuity, again somebody moving from outer core to inner core, will find discontinuity over here in this place, and this is known as Lehman discontinuity. So these 5 discontinuities and the location where they are present could be a question in the examination. There could be a question based on match the following. There could be a question based on statements. Anything could be there. Yes, nowadays UPSC frames questions in match the following having 3 columns. So one, they can write this name of the discontinuity, the layers where they are present, and the state of the matter across that variation. You know, so all those things could be created in 3 columns, and accordingly the questions could be framed. So this is an important area from where any day the question, a beautiful question, could be created. Okay, so this is about discontinuities. You know, let me tell you certain other important things about the interior of the earth, other important properties. Since there is this entire session is primarily focused on meeting the requirements of the prelims examination, so we'll skip the part of the important sources that provide the information about the interior of the earth for now, and with this some important properties will wind up the session. So let's talk about the other properties, from where again there would be a question in the prelims examination. One, I told you that density increases with increasing depth. This I have already told you. As you are moving into the interior of the earth, the density will increase. I have also given you the reasoning behind this. I have given you the mathematical formula that density equals to mass upon volume, and mass is increasing, volume is density decreasing, therefore density is increasing. This one that you should any day expect in the examination. Second is on the basis of pressure. Every now and then I kept on saying that the pressure is increasing with the interior, with the movement into the interior. So pressure increases with increasing depth. Why pressure is increasing as the depth is increasing? You should know that pressure is equals to force upon area. Again, basic maths, basic physics. Force, let's say this is earth, let's say I'm at this point. So what is the force at this point? Whatever is the mass above this point. So what is the mass? Can I say mass into gravity will give me force? Mass into, if you know, acceleration, g is also a form of acceleration. So mg by a. If you look at this, as you move in the interior, mass will increase, therefore pressure should increase. And also see, as you are moving into the interior, see this is the area, now this is the area. So area is declining. So area is declining, mass is increasing, therefore pressure should increase, and which is the reality also. That as we move into the interior of the earth, pressure is increasing. Third most important thing that you should know, that temperature also increases with increasing depth. Temperature also increases with increasing depth. Why temperature increases? Temperature is dependent on density and pressure. Since pressure is increasing, density is increasing, therefore temperature is also increasing. So you know that if you compress certain things, it means density will increase. It means that molecules which are present here, they get compressed, they start colliding with each other, and due to that collision the temperature will increase, because if certain things collide there will be friction and that will release energy. So that is why temperature is increasing. I hope it makes sense. One more thing with respect to temperature, that this temperature increase in the interior of the earth is not constant everywhere. Although on an average it is said that with every 30 to 32 meter depth, increase in the depth, there is an increase of 1 degree Celsius in the temperature. But this is the average understanding. This will not happen everywhere. This is not a constant phenomena. It means that, let's say if I move 30 meter, there is an increase of 1 degree Celsius. Next 30 meter, there should again be 1 degree Celsius increase. It is not necessary. It depends on a number of factors as well. Like I said, due to radioactivity, there might be a larger increase in the temperature. Yes, so do remember these things. Moreover, there might be less increase also, because if you know something called as convection current, which moves from the interior of the earth towards the outside. So basically it is taking out the heat of the earth towards the outside. So there is a transfer of energy from the interior towards the outside. So there might be decline in the temperature also. Decline means the rate of temperature might not be 1 degree with respect to every 30-32 meter increase in the depth. So this rate is variable. Is it okay? So this would be all for the day, for the session. Thank you so very much. Have a great time. If you have any kind of confusion, let us know in the comment section. We'll try and reply that. And if you want any other topic to be created video upon, let us know in the comment section. We'll try and make a video over that topic as well. Thank you so much.